In 1985, two British climbers, Joe Simpson and Simon Yates, arrived in the remote Andes with ambition burning in their hearts. Their goal was audacious: to climb the unclimbed west face of Siula Grande, a 6,344-meter peak in the Cordillera Huayhuash. They would carry light loads, depend on skill, and confront the rawness of nature itself. With Richard Hawking left at base camp to monitor supplies, coordinate logistics, and await their return, Simpson and Yates began their ascent. They trekked through rugged valleys, crossing moraines and glacial rivers, gradually distancing themselves from civilization until the world behind them seemed to vanish. Their climb commenced in alpine style: minimal gear, no fixed ropes, no large support. The mountain demanded total commitment. The slope rose into icy steep walls, broken by cornices, seracs, hidden vertical cracks. With each upward step, they felt the altitude, the chill, the weight of every decision. They established intermittent camps carved into ledges. Nights were spent huddled in tents, wind battering their canvas walls, frost creeping closer. In daylight, they battled snow, cutting steps, bridging ice, probing for holds. Their fuel dwindled. Their reserves ran thin. Storms threatened on the horizon. Then finally, they stood on the summit. The view was breathtaking, the accomplishment momentous. But triumph at the peak means nothing if one cannot return. The descent awaited, often the more perilous journey of all. They chose to descend via the North Ridge, hoping it would be safer than retracing the climb. But descending is a different challenge. Gravity works with you. Snow shifts underfoot. Daylight fades faster, risk multiplies. They carried what they could, knowing that each hour above the glacier increased danger. On one descent day, with slopes slick and treacherous, disaster struck. Simpson slipped, unexpectedly, violently, and plunged off an ice cliff. The fall shattered his right leg, the tibia driven into the knee joint. He lay there, broken, alone, in shock. Movement was agony. Escape seemed impossible. Yates rushed to him. He anchored himself into the slope, digging stances in compact snow, bracing with axes and crampons. He tied their two 150-foot ropes together to form a 300-foot line. His plan: lower Simpson in stages down the mountain, step by painful step. The process was excruciating. Yates had to stabilize himself, pay out rope, watch for icy edges, compensate for shifting snow, rethread ropes at knots, reposition lower again. Simpson, in intense pain, had to shift weight, unclip, reclip, maintain balance, even while his body screamed. They repeated this lowering cycle over and over, inching downward. As darkness pressed closer and weather worsened, tension grew. Visibility shrank. Communication became limited to rope signals and brief murmurs. Then came the worst moment. In lowering, Yates unknowingly sent Simpson over a cliff edge. Joe hung in midair, and no slope beneath him, no purchase. Yates, higher up, could not see him. He could not hear him over wind. He could only feel the rope's tension increasing, the drag shifting. Beneath his crampons, the snow began to soften, to give way. The strain mounted. Simon held on, trapped between compassion and survival. For over an hour he resisted, hoping, praying, waiting. But the snow under him inched forward. He faced the unthinkable choice: let go, and both might die, or sever the rope, save himself, and consign his partner to oblivion. In agony and desperation, he made the decision. He cut the rope. Simpson plunged. Yates, devastation in his bones, retreated into a snow cave for shelter. He assumed Simpson was dead. He shivered through the night, listening to wind, shadow, dread. At dawn he emerged, descended carefully toward the glacier, calling Simpson's name into voids, inspecting crevasse walls, but hearing only silence. Convinced his partner was gone, he descended onward toward base camp alone. But Simpson was alive. He had fallen into a deep crevasse, landing on a narrow ledge deep inside the ice. Morning light hurt his eyes. His body screamed. He realized the rope was cut and that rescue would not come. His broken leg gnawed at every thought. Yet he refused surrender. He rigged a makeshift rappel, lowering himself further into the dark, probing the walls of ice with numb fingers, searching for tunnels, air pockets, hidden slopes. Inch by inch he descended the chasm, eyes straining, senses alert, hope slim. Eventually he discovered a snow bridge, fragile, audacious. He crossed it. The slope beyond led upward toward the glacier. He climbed it, limb by agonized limb. Each motion cost him blood, energy, will. Once on the glacier, his trial had not ended. He had miles ahead. Snow, crevasses, moraines, the jagged landscape of retreat. With no food, little water, crippling pain, he crawled, hopped, dragged himself forward. He navigated by memory, by instinct, by flickers of motivation from home, family, light. For 3 days he endured that torment. Nights cold and lonely, days heavy and punishing. He collapsed, rose again, whispered encouragement to himself. Don't stop. You must move forward. The body betrayed him, the mind wavering, but something internal would not relent. Then in faltering light, he broke over a ridge and spotted base camp. He staggered in, frail, battered, broken, but alive. Yates and Hawking, preparing to depart, turned in disbelief. The dead man stood among them. The reunion was shock, relief, tears. The aftermath reverberated in mountaineering circles and beyond. Many condemned Yates for cutting the rope, accusing him of betrayal. But Simpson never blamed him. He understood the impossibility of that choice. He said he'd have done the same. Over years, the climbing community came to accept that decision as a tragic necessity, not a moral failure. Simpson told his story in Touching the Void, laying bare the fear, the pain, and the resilience. The book became a bestseller, translated into many languages, a testament not just to survival, but to the complexity of moral decision in extremis. It was later adapted into a film that combined interviews with reenactments, bringing that mountain's cruelty and beauty to wider audiences. Years later, Simpson and Yates even returned to Siula Grande. They walked its ridges, revisited faces of ice, confronted ghosts of memory. The emotional weight was vast. Regret, pride, forgiveness, closure. The mountain remained indifferent. It gave no solace, but their story endured. When you look upon images of Siula Grande, its spires, its ice, its silent ridgelines, remember this was not fiction, it was real. A story of trust, broken bones, impossible decisions, and a human spirit refusing to yield. Thank you for listening. I hope this story has moved you, made you question what you'd do in that moment, and inspired you to seek out more tales of real survival. If you like this, stay tuned for more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.